This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Like slow city breathing through the glass. Static in the system, everybody talks fast. They so comfort, self-fear, self-script you can repeat. But I learned how to listen when the silence starts to speak. Red lines on the dashboard, something's running underneath. Truth bombs out loud, hum as it breathes. They say scan your lane, stay no, behave. But I felt the fluctuate before it get. They call it chaos, I call it a sign. You don't feel the shift if you're scared of the grind. I don't chase approval, I don't need the pride. I just do it out, feel the
Following program is rated MALSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, truer words have never been said. It does not matter who the host is. It only matters who the listeners are. Anyways, we are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida on this glorious Thursday, February the 5th. Of 2026. We are hanging out in the multiverse here and hanging out with our friends and colleagues over there.
Radio Big. USA, Canada, UK.
So how have you been? How are things going? How are things hanging out? You know, all the fun stuff that we get to do. I only asked this because, as you might have been aware, we were not here yesterday. We were not here, like meeting in the studio. We were actually out at the ACFS Safety Day at the Rosen Plaza. So yeah, pretty full day yesterday. Not a joke whatsoever. I mean, it started early and it ended late into the afternoon. So yeah, full day of stuff. Always appreciate hanging out with the Alliance of Central Florida Safety and the events that they put on. Kind of a very cool time. And I'm just always amazed on the bang for your buck that you get at that thing. So I appreciate the ACFS having me out again this year, being able to broadcast while we were there and hanging out and doing some interviews and things along those lines. Always a good time. So there you go. So let's start talking right away about some stuff going on inside of the world of the multiverse here. Our show consists of safety in the news and safety. If you've not heard it before, I just don't want you to be alarmed. We talk a little bit about everything that is going on inside of the news cycle, and then we bring in some elements of what we're talking about in regards to the world of safety. That's kind of how it is. That is the whole kit and caboodle. Our show is 3 hours long. People go, what? Yeah, let me explain. Hour number 1 is referred to as the Rated R Safety Show. We put that one on video and onto the podcast network. And we're streaming it, of course, on our radio stations. So we do that. That's hour uno. That's the only hour that does that. Hour 2 and 3, it's a Jay Allen in the Morning Show. That's kind of more of a music entertainment style stuff that we do on Radio Big exclusively. No video, no podcast. That's it. The simulcast one is the one on the first hour. I know it gets a little confusing sometimes. So that's it. If you want to interact with the show, simple process. Callinradio.com. That's callinradio.com. Once you get there, audio, video, text messaging are the options. and that will get the world spinning and spurning for you in regards of the stuff that's going on. So there you go. I do bring in some professional broadcasters for them to tell you what the hell's going on inside of the world of the multiverse. This is kind of how it works around here. So if you are good with this, I am good with this. We can bring in my friends from Feature Story News, and they'll start talking right away about everything that is going on inside of the multi. And we can get that for you right now if you're good with it. Are you good to go with this? If you're good to go with this, I'm good to go with this. And we'll get it moving. No, seriously, we'll get it moving right now. Take a listen to the news.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in New Delhi, I'm Neha Punia. US President Donald Trump discussed trade, Taiwan, and the situation in Iran during a phone call with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping. The two leaders met in South Korea 3 months ago and struck a trade truce. Donald Trump is now expected to visit Beijing in April. Laura Westbrook has more.
US President Donald Trump described the call with Chinese President Xi Jinping as long and thorough, saying that the two leaders discussed China buying more American soybeans. Meanwhile, in a readout from Chinese state media, President Xi says Taiwan was the most important issue in China-US relations and urged Washington to handle arms sales to Taiwan with prudence. China claims self-governed Taiwan as its own to be reunited by force if necessary. The US approved a sale of arms to Taiwan last year worth $11 billion to strengthen the island's defenses. Laura Westbrook, Hong Kong.
Meanwhile, the US is proposing a preferential trade bloc with price floors for critical minerals aimed at displacing China as the global leader in mining and processing. Vice President J.D. Vance made the announcement in front of delegates from more than 50 countries who are in Washington for the White House's inaugural Critical Minerals Ministerial Summit. This includes representation from India, with the country's Foreign Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar in attendance. The minister says he highlighted the risks of excessive concentration and the importance of de-risking supply chains through international cooperation. India is backing this effort to counter Chinese dominance in the sector, just days after New Delhi and Washington announced they had signed an agreement to slash tariffs on India to 18% after months of acrimony over trade talks. Meanwhile, a major upset to the US media landscape has been the fact that the Washington Post has slashed its workforce by roughly 30%. The newspaper, which is owned by Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, has been struggling to return to profitability. The layoffs are just the latest setback for journalism in America, which is often the target of the Trump administration. Tony Waterman has more.
According to reports, the Post's executive editor, Matt Murray, tried to frame it as a strategic reset to better position the newspaper for the future, but at least one employee that spoke to the Guardian newspaper called it an absolute bloodbath that had taken place. The international desk has been hit particularly hard, with correspondents in India, Australia, Egypt, Iran, and China among those that have been let go. And some of them have been venting their frustrations on social media. Lizzie Johnson, who is in Ukraine right now, covering the war in a very dangerous conditions, writing, "I have been let off in the middle of a war zone. I'm devastated."
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. Today, the trials and tribulations of Britain's Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer. He's entering what could be the most dangerous days of his turbulent premiership so far, after admitting on Wednesday that he knew the former and disgraced UK ambassador to Washington, Peter Mandelson, had remained in contact with Jeffrey Epstein even after Mr. Epstein's conviction in Florida on sex trafficking charges. The issue of the Prime Minister's judgment is now central among members of his own governing Labour Party, including Lord John Hutton, a former British Defence Secretary.
I think this government is in serious trouble, and I think the issue is the leadership from the Prime Minister, and I think unless that changes dramatically, I think the government is in serious trouble. I mean, you can be surrounded by great secretaries of state, and he's got many good people in the cabinet. You can have the best and brightest minds in the country working for you in number 10. And he's got many of those too, but it doesn't add up to a row of beans if the leadership from the top is just not there, and not there in a consistent way. And it's a very, very rough game. I mean, we all know how tough the political process is, but I mean, I think this is a very serious moment, I think, for him and for the government. And we've got to emerge from this with greater strength and purpose and unity.
And a growing number of Labour lawmakers believe the only way to do that is to replace Sir Keir Starmer as leader and therefore the country's Prime Minister. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main news again. US President Donald Trump discusses trade, Taiwan and the situation in Iran during a phone call with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping, even as the US is proposing a preferential trade bloc with price floors for critical minerals aimed at countering China's hold on the sector. The Washington Post has slashed its global workforce by 30% in a big blow to American media. Today's show host Savannah Guthrie has appealed for the safe return of her mother. The 84-year-old has been missing since Sunday. And that is the latest feature story news. Neha Punia reporting.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
Taking a shower will bring us with you. Even your loofah deserves to have a little fun.
You've seen the loop. You've felt the shift. The script doesn't fit anymore, and neither do you. Safety transmission. The collapse of the construct is the third and final signal in the trilogy from J. Allen, PhD. And this time, it's not about waking up. It's about what you do once you're awake. The system didn't break. It just stopped pretending to hold you. And now it's blinking, rebranding presence, packaging resistance, and calling it progress. This book isn't a guide. It's a transmission. It doesn't teach the system how to evolve. It shows you how to stop performing for it. You'll see what happens when awareness becomes responsibility, when audits don't listen, and when leadership becomes a loop. But if you've made it this far, you're not here to be managed. You're here to carry signal. Safety transmission. The Collapse of the Construct. Now available in print, Kindle, and audiobook. Narrated by J. Allen, PhD. Because if it couldn't hold your signal, it was never real to begin with.
Let me talk to you real quick. What is HelloFresh? With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Spend your time this month shopping for gifts and sipping cocoa, not stuck at the checkout line. Sign up for HelloFresh and get everything you need to whip up a fresh, tasty meal delivered to your door. Just choose your recipes, select a delivery date, and relax knowing the dinner's on its way. HelloFresh has over 45 recipes and more than 100 seasonal add-on items to choose from every week, so it's easier than ever to find something everyone will enjoy. Go to HelloFresh.com/SafetyFM free. That's HelloFresh.com/SafetyFM free to use the code SafetyFM free for free breakfast for life. One breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com/SafetyFM free with code SafetyFM free. And don't forget that this is why HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit.
The perfect alternative for a cup of coffee? Well, that would be us, without the side effects.
Okay, so there you go. We are currently 15 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Thursday. Yeah. You know, I have to tell you, I like going out to these little conferences and conventions and all that kind of fun stuff, but it's so weird not being in the studio first thing in the morning. I'm going to tell you, it's just it throws everything off for me. I mean, not that we don't do the same thing remotely, but man, it's like, hey, I'm kind of used to this being here, that being there, our little does stuff, you know, and being able to hit everything. But man, you get out there into the general public, I'm like, what the hell's going on? I have no board. I mean, I have like a board with me, but that's it. But yeah, anyways, let me kind of get out of the weeds here and start talking about some things that are going on. So, you know that we have to prep for this thing and get everything ready for our stories. And sometimes there's some news stories that are out there that I go, I'm not even sure how the hell this happened. And this is going to fall into that category. A Pennsylvania woman got way more than a deluxe wash, and after a malfunction trapped her inside of a car wash for nearly an hour. With the soap still on, Felicia Sullivan was midway through a wash in Waynesboro Waterwork when the system suddenly shut down and the doors slammed closed, leaving her sealed inside of her car like a marinating rotisserie chicken. Her TikTok video shows her pressing the emergency button, which also didn't work. Because, of course, it didn't. After knocking, yelling, and getting zero response, Sullivan finally called the police. After about 45 minutes, officers, along with the car wash owner, freed her from the soapy standoff. No one was hurt. The car survived, and Sullivan says that she's not mad. The owner apologized with a stack of gift cards. So I'm giving you a stack of gift cards of where you were trapped is what it sounds like. Take a listen to this real quick.
I'm pushing the emergency button. Door is not opening. I don't know. I cannot get out. Still got soap on my cord, like nothing's turned on.
I mean, I have to tell you, it sounds pretty calm in regards of what's going on inside of there. So, I mean, this wasn't a wash cycle. It was a hostage situation. She didn't even leave. She didn't even leave clean. She left traumatized with lemon-scented soap is what it sounds like. The soap said rinse. The car wash said nope. And when the car wash becomes a spa against your will, and police responded to a 911 call for excessive bubbles. I mean, I don't even know how you explain some of this stuff when it's all said and done.
More sarcasm than a Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
I mean, kind of an interesting situation when it's all said and done when you really start thinking about it. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on inside of the world here. So let me see. Where do we want to start today? So let me do this one because I think we're going to have to start here. And you know that we kind of talk about everything, even though I know it's not Freeform Friday. And Freeform Friday, we're just going to have a cluster of things to talk about because, you know, when I kind of miss a day, and it's not really missing because I'm still doing stuff, I just have a whole slew of things to talk about on Freeform Friday, which will be tomorrow, just in case. So let's talk about this one. Apple is warning big red flags for iPhone users. Yeah, you did hear that correctly. And it's not all about battery life. The company says that mercenary spyware attacks are actively targeting iPhones running older software, and victims don't even have to click on the sketchy link to get hit. There are so-called zero-click attacks where hackers can hijack a phone just by forcing it to load poisoned web content. The problem sits with a WebKit, the engine that powers Safari and iPhone apps. Older versions of iOS have hidden flaws that attackers have already exploited in real-world hacks, letting them quietly run malicious code in the background. Apple says that these attacks have been highly targeted journalists, activists, politicians, but warns that there is a global and ongoing events, meaning that anyone who runs iOS 26 or 26.2 could be exposed, and that's a lot of people. As of January, only 16% of iPhone users have updated. Once inside the phone, the spyware can basically do whatever it wants: read text and email, grab photos and videos, record calls, log keystrokes, track locations, and spy in real time, all while pretending to be a normal app. Apple fix is blunt: update immediately to iOS 26 or 26.2 and restart your phone. Older versions, including iOS 18, no longer receive security updates on newer devices, meaning that those phones are missing the critical patch entirely. There's a catch, though. iPhones older than the iPhone 11 can't turn iOS 26 or can't run iOS 26 at all, leaving the models like the XR, the XS, the X, and the iPhone 8 stuck and vulnerable. So what do you think? I mean, here's the thing. Technology always changes, as we always are constantly talking about here. But we also have to look at it from the standpoint of, man, with all the changes happening inside of the world of technology, it's like almost impossible not to be updated. Like, we run stuff here that I am sure that you go, wow, I didn't even think that something that old still existed. Yeah, don't get me wrong here. I understand where you're coming from, but man, the vulnerability sometimes with technology is just some stuff to think about as we are talking. Okay, so what else do we want to get into? So I figured that we should probably start there in regards to that. Should we talk about this one? Let's talk about this one. Because why would we not talk about this one? GameStop went viral after jokingly claiming that a man tried to trade in his girlfriend for store credit to buy a PlayStation 5. In a tongue-in-cheek post on X, the company said the store associate had to explain the GameStop system does not allow human exchanges, even if the girlfriend appeared to be in good condition. The post reminded customers that while used games and consoles are eligible for trade-in, significant others are not. The gag spread across the platforms with slightly altered version that appeared on Facebook. An additional fake lore added a statistical account by Selena52 Truck Stop. Yeah, it does say Truck Stop, which pretended an employee involved was placed on administrative leave. The entire episode was clearly fictional, designed to spark laughs and engagement. GameStop finally admitting that their traded values are so low that they need human you need a human to afford a PlayStation 5. She's also in good condition is a wild language to use at a strip mall retail store. Also, imagine trading your girlfriend and it's not having fun for having enough for a store credit. Love is temporary. Console generations are forever. I mean, I don't know. A lot of stuff going on there. Let's get into some serious business here because I think, we don't want to lose everybody. So, are you ready for this? Here we go. Ryan Ruth is done. Yeah, finished. The man who tried to assassinate President Trump was sentenced yesterday to life in prison plus 7 years. Judge Aileen Cannon didn't mince words either, calling the 60-year-old evil before handing down the sentence. Ryan was convicted of hiding in the bushes near Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach in September of 2024, aiming a military-grade SKS rifle towards the president and Secret Service agents. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment stunt either. Prosecutors said that it was planned out for months and was willing to kill anyone who got in the way. Ryan represented himself at the trial, and when the guilty verdict was read, stabbed himself in the neck with a pen. Prosecutors pushed hard for life, but Ryan showed zero remorse and acted out of a twisted belief that killing the presidential candidate was justified by politics and the Ukraine. After the conviction, a court-appointed attorney argued for a lighter 27-year sentence, claiming that Ryan didn't get a fair trial because he chose to represent himself and couldn't properly challenge witnesses. That argument went nowhere. A psychiatric evaluation found that Ryan has bipolar disorder and narcissistic personality disorder. His family submitted letters asking for leniency and placement closer to his home, saying that they still love him and wanted to support his rehab. The judge wasn't moved. Life means life. So there you go. So here's the thing. And let me just say this because I'm not justifying any of it. Let's just use a hypothetical here. Let's say he's 60 even. I don't know how old the guy is. I'm just referencing that. 27 years in prison. Let's say that he got 27. That makes him 87 years of age by the time that he would potentially be able to get out. So are we looking at this more of a parole type of thing? Or are we looking at this more like it means something in regards to it? Listen, I'm not agreeing with what the guy attempted to do because that's not cool, regardless of what your beliefs are on wherever you stand politically. But man, 87, I mean, unless it's a parole thing, then I can possibly understand. So what's your general opinion of this? Would love to hear your thought process about the whole thing. All you have to do is go to callinradio.com. Of course, that's where you would go. Okay, so let me talk about this one. And if you're in the U.S., you're probably not going to love me by me saying the following thing. Another polar vortex disruption is lining up, driven by the sudden atmospheric warning event, weakening the vortex and letting the Arctic air spill south again. The results is another blast of deep cold, especially across the Northeast, starting this weekend and lingering into February. Meteorologists say that a reinforcing shot of Arctic air will drag temperatures back down into single digits overnight, following a late January storm that already shoved much of the country well below the normal weather. AccuWeather warns that cold gripping the eastern half of the U.S. isn't going anywhere anytime soon. So there you go. What do you think? Yep, some stuff going on there. Okay, let's continue talking inside of the
news cycle.
The Supreme Court just gave California Democrats the green light and Republicans a headache. The justices refused to block California's new congressional map, one approved by voters in November and pushed by Governor Newsom. Even though Republicans argued that it was engineered to give Democrats an edge in the year's midterms, California Republicans backed by the Trump administration wanted the map stopped. The court said no, the matter is because the Republicans already barely are hanging on to control of the House. If Democrats flip it, they can jam up President Trump's agenda and fire up investigation into his administration like it's open season. Republicans claim that the map leans too heavily on race instead of politics. We're drawing districts, and the court didn't bite. Bottom line, the map stands. Democrats like their odds, and Republicans just lost a legal fight in one of the biggest battleground states. So there you go. Yeah, we got to the point here, and let's just kind of talk about it real quick. We didn't talk about politics on this show. But then it got to the point that that's all that happens all the time in regards of what's going on in the world, that I was like, how big of segments we are losing by not talking about this. So there you go. Okay, you ready? Let's talk about this one. The Winter Olympics started and immediately needed a reboot. The first events of the 2026 Milan Cortina Games is kicked off yesterday in the mixed doubles, curling in Italy, and then promptly stopped when the lights flickered and went out at a historic curling venue. Officials paused the matches during the brief power outage while curlers kept sliding on the ice to stay loose. And when the lights came back on, the crowd cheered, play resumed. Welcome to the Olympics. Curling is getting an early jump beginning 2 full days before the opening ceremony. 8 mixed double teams, 1 woman, 1 man per team, are competing in a round-robin play. American curlers, the first-time Olympian, said that he's been waiting years for the moments like this and is ready to give everything on the ice. So there you go. What do you think about the Summer Olympics? Or do you watch them? Or are you more of a winter? Hold on, let me phrase that properly. Are you a Summer Olympics person or are you a Winter's Olympics person? Because I know people that don't like both. They'll like one over the other. So I don't know what category you fall into. I am just asking the question here because it seems like something to ask. So let me see if I can find this one, because this has been going around for a brief moment here over the last few days. So I got a few of them that I want to talk about real quick. So President Trump personally reached out to Savannah Guthrie as the search for her missing mother enters the fourth day. The White House confirms the president called Today's Show host yesterday to offer support as authorities continue looking for the 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. While the details of the call weren't disclosed, Trump had told reporters the day before that he planned to contact Savannah and offer whatever federal help he might be available. I always got along very good with Savannah. The president said that from the Oval Office, calling the situation very unusual and a terrible thing, and expressing confidence that the answers would come. So there you go. And let's keep it there just for a moment. I don't know if you heard this one. This actually came out yesterday. We're going to do this before we get into our main story. Savannah Guthrie and her siblings are publicly pleading for their mother's safe return in search of Nancy Guthrie, and continues in an emotional Instagram post yesterday. The Today Show host anchor shared and prepared a family statement captioning simply "Bring her home." The siblings thanks the public for the prayers and saying that they believe that Nancy can feel them as the searches continue. The family also described Nancy Guthrie as a kind, faithful, and a fiercely loving woman, calling her funny, spunky, clever, and deeply devoted to her friends and grandchildren. They said they love that she loves adventures and fully acknowledge that. This leaves a lasting impression on anyone who talks to her. Nancy was last seen on Saturday night, January the 31st, around 9:30 p.m. after she was dropped off at her home at the Catalina foothills. Following dinner with her family, authorities say it continues to investigate her disappearance. The family maintains hope. So here, take a listen to the audio.
We too have heard the reports about a ransom letter in the media. As a family, we are doing everything that we can. We are ready to talk. However, we live in a world where voices and images are easily manipulated. We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her. We want to hear from you, and we are ready to listen. Please reach out to us. Mommy, if you are hearing this, you are a strong woman. You are God's precious daughter, Nancy. We believe and know that even in this valley, He is with you. Everyone is looking for you, Mommy, everywhere. We will not rest. Your children will not rest until we are together again.
So there you go. Very emotional call there in regards of what is going on. So there you go. So a lot of stuff going on inside of there. Do we want to do one more? Do we got time for one more? We don't have time for... screw it. Let's do this. A new twist in the big pushback at the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old mother of the Today Show anchor Savannah Guthrie. Journalist Ashley Banfield claimed on a podcast that Nancy's son-in-law, Tommaso Sciano, married to Savannah's sister Annie, is the prime suspect, citing that what she says is high-level law enforcement source of connection involving Annie's car. Banfield doubled down to some interview, saying that the investigators may be zeroed in on him internally, even if they haven't said it publicly. The Pima County Sheriff's Department flatly disputes that. Officials say that no suspect or person of interest has been identified and warned that unverified accusations don't have a case here. Here's what they've confirmed. Nancy had dinner on Saturday night with Annie and Sciano, who dropped her off in Tucson home, where she lived alone. That's the last time that she was seen. And when she didn't show up to church on Sunday, family members checked her house and called the authorities. Take a listen.
My law enforcement source tells me that Tommaso Sciano, Annie's husband, is the prime suspect in this case.
ET is getting clarity today.
What did your law enforcement source say to you that made you comfortable enough to go with this information?
And this is an impeccable high-level source. This is someone I trust inherently and somebody I know is well-informed. Towing the car of Savannah's sister and putting it into evidence is a significant move.
Does that set off alarm bells for you?
It doesn't, it doesn't. Every one of these cases, you start with the family, and if the family is the last person to be with, that's where the beginning of your investigation is, and then the concentric circles move outward. If they process it and it comes back perfect and everything else checks out and the alibis check out, then maybe they'll move on.
Okay, so there you go. A lot of stuff going on inside of the world. We'll see what exactly ends up happening when it's all said and done. Hopefully everything for the better in the long run. Anyways, definitely past the time. Let's get into our main story.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so let's talk about it because there's always time to talk a little bit about this, a little bit about that as we get into our systems of conversation in regards to what the hell is going on out there. So let's talk about stress for a moment. No, like seriously, let's talk about stress. Not the kind of stress that we put on a PowerPoint slides. I'm talking about different stress. And not the kind that we label as pressure makes diamonds. I'm talking about the kind of stress that quietly reshapes organization while everyone insists that everything is
perfectly fine.
Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Most organizations don't break because of a single bad decision. They deform slowly under stress. Yeah, they deform slowly under stress. And the wild part, we're usually the ones applying it. No, seriously. Stress doesn't announce itself. It doesn't send an Outlook invite and say, hey, we're about to do this. It doesn't show up wearing a name badge that says, hi, I'm your problem. Stress shows up as a tone, as an urgency, as silence, as the thing that people stop saying. We love to talk about culture like it's a poster on the wall, like it's a value statement, like it's something that HR owns. But culture is really just the accumulated response to stress over time. That's it. Think about it. Culture is what happens when people repeatedly experience pressure and learn what actually was rewarded, what's punished, and what's ignored. Let me say that again because I think this part matters. Culture is the memory of how stress was handled last time. Think about that for a moment. If every time something goes wrong, the room gets tense, people get quiet, fingers start pointing, guess what happens next time? People hide the problems earlier. They sanitize information. They protect themselves instead of the systems. Not because they're bad people, because stress trained them. And here's one of the biggest lies that we tell ourselves as leaders, managers, and organizations. We work well under pressure. No, we don't. You work habitually under pressure, and habits aren't the same thing as health. Pressure doesn't just reveal character, it conditions behavior. If your organization is always in emergency mode, people don't feel important. The emergency does. And over time, that teaches everyone the same lesson. Speed matters more than thought. Optics matter more than truth. And survival matters more than improvement. Now, let's talk about stressors here for a moment, because stress doesn't exist in a vacuum. Stressors are usually invisible because they're normalized. Unclear expectations, conflicting priorities when it's all said and done, and metrics that don't match reality. Being told to speak up while watching others get burned for doing exactly that, guess what? That's a stressor. Another one, urgency without explanation. When everything is labeled critical, nothing actually is except your people's nervous system. And here's the part that nobody likes to admit. Most organization stressors aren't accidental. They're side effects of decisions that made sense locally but damaged the system globally. And we add one more meeting, one more report, one more dashboard, one more approval layer, because who doesn't need that shit? Each one feels small, each one feels reasonable until the culture is suffocating under the weight of just one more thing. And then we act surprised when people feel disengaged. And let's be real. Real and normal for a second. People don't burn out because they work hard. They burn out because effort stops feeling meaningful. Stress becomes toxic when people can't see how their energy connects to purpose. When the why disappears and stress stops being full and starts being friction. And the friction changes behavior. People stop innovating. They stop challenging assumptions. They stop caring about outcomes and start caring about not getting blamed. That's not a safety issue. That's a human issue. Safety is just what happens to be the first casualty. You want to sprinkle a little safety in here? Fine. But let's do it honestly. When stress dominates culture, safety doesn't fail loudly. It erodes quietly. Checklists get rushed, shortcuts become temporary, near misses become no big deal. And people stop reporting because reporting feels like adding stress instead of reducing it. And then the leadership asks the most dangerous question imaginable. How did we miss this? You didn't miss it. You train people not to show it. And definitely not to show it to the leadership. Stress teaches lessons faster than policies ever will. So here's the question worth asking. Not as a safety professional, not as a leader, but as a human being responsible for other human beings. What kind of stress does your organization produce? Now think about that. What kind of stress does your organization produce? Productive stress challenges people without threatening them. Destructive stress demands output while removing agency. One builds capability and the other builds fear. And the fear is an incredible short-term motivator and catastrophic for long-term strategy. Fear narrows attention. Fear collapses options. And fear kills learning. And the worst part? Fear-based cultures often look like high-performing right up until the failure occurs inside of the organization. Because nothing fails faster than a system that can't tell itself the truth. And here's the uncomfortable mirror moment. If you want to understand your culture, don't read the mission statement. Watch what happens when someone makes a mistake. Listen to how stress travels through the room. Notice who speaks and who suddenly doesn't. Culture isn't what you say during the moment. It's what shows up under pressure. And stress is the test oh my God, I can't talk. And the stress test is the administering every single day, whether you mean to or not. So maybe the real work isn't stress management seminars or wellness posters or telling people to be resilient. Maybe the work is reducing unnecessary stressors, explaining urgency instead of weaponizing it, aligning expectations with reality, and letting people breathe without fearing punishment. Because culture doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be honest. No, seriously, it needs to be honest. And when culture becomes honest, safety, real safety, human safety has room to exist. Not a rule, not as a program, but as a natural outcome of people, or a natural outcome of people who feel trusted enough to tell the truth. And that is a stress definitely worth carrying.
Oops, what did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
Hey there, Jay Allen here with Safety FM, where we just don't talk about safety, we live it. And when it comes to safeguarding your future, there's no better partner than Acorns. This part of the show has been brought to you by Acorns, and a powerful tool that makes saving and investing easier than ever. We all know that investing can feel overwhelming, especially with busy lives and no time to dive into the nitty-gritty of financial markets. But Acorns changes the game. With Acorns, you don't need to be a financial expert or have a hefty sum of money to get started. In fact, Acorns lets you begin with just spare change. All about those small steps, small investments today that can build into something much bigger over time. Acorns recommends that the expert build portfolio designed to fit financial goals. Then it does the heavy lifting for you by automatically investing your money. It's like having a financial advisor in your pocket working around the clock to help your money grow. So why wait? Head over to acorns.com/safetyfm or download the Acorns app and take that first step towards securing your future today. Remember, in the world of safety and investing, small actions today can lead to mighty outcomes tomorrow. Paid non-client endorsement. Compensation provides an incentive to positively promote Acorns. Investing involves risk. Acorns Advisors, LLC, and SEC registered investment advisors. View important disclosures at acorn.com/safetyfm. At Safety FM, we're all about making smart decisions on the job and in life. So take control of your financial future. This is Jay Allen reminding you to stay safe, stay smart, and invest in your tomorrow.
This isn't a safety manual. It's a transmission. Jay Allen, PhD, host of the Rated R Safety Show and founder of Safety FM, has spent years pulling back the curtain on the systems we work in and the ones we don't talk about. What started as a fatal crash on the 405 became a search for truth through behavior-based safety, human and organizational performance, simulation theory, and everything in between. Safety, in my opinion, is raw, reflective, and real. From burnout to breakthroughs, from the matrix to the moment someone says, "This doesn't feel right." This book doesn't give you answers. It hands you the signal. Safety, in my opinion. Available now, wherever books and audiobooks are found.
Radio Big. USA, Canada, UK.
Okay, here we go. Like I said, we're running behind. 47 minutes past the top of the hour. Yeah, this is signal to noise here. I only know that because that's what I titled it. Song's not available anywhere, just in case. So there you go. Anyways, let me tell you about the most important thing that I will ever tell you in my lifetime, and that's about my friends to write love on her arms. No matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help. And we want you to know that people have been where you are now and things can get better. Healing is possible. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to TWLOHA.com. That's TWLOHA.com and click on the section that says Find Help. Once you get there, audio, video, and text messaging are the options of everything that is going on. And that will make sure that you're taken care of. So once you get their information related to addiction, depression, anxiety, eating disorders, self-injury, suicide, trauma, and grief support, just to name a few. TWLOHA.com to write love on her arms. Listen, it can change everything for you just by going to that website and taking a look around. And before I forget, let me talk about this one, if you do not mind. Well, nope, that's a lie. I just almost named it the old thing. Conklin Workshop coming up in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Would love to see you there. Todd Conklin will be there, of course. We're going to be talking about fatality investigation and incident investigation and using the techniques on what needs to be done to be able to get you there. You'll have Ann Liren there, Brett Sutton, and Redonda Voigt, all giving some insights on what's going on. And we will do a case study based on Redonda's first-person story in regards to what occurred to her inside of the field, in regards to what happened, and then we'll take a look at it through a different style lens. To find out more information, there is a QR code right there on the screen. All you have to do is scan that, and that'll get everything moving for you. If you cannot do that, all you have to do is go to safetyfm.com and click on the section that says Live Events. live events. So with that being said, keep that in mind, and we'll get you moving and grooving, because that is what we do around here. So would love to see you there. Events taking place March the 31st through April the 1st in Santa Fe, New Mexico of the lovely year 2026. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on. So you can go to safetyfm.com, live events, and that will get everything moving for you. Yes, I will be there, just in case if you're wondering, hanging out, doing our thing, that is for sure. Anyways, with that being said, let me bring some John Small into our life and let him tell us about the Motivation Minute.
Courtesy of JaceCaseMedical.com. Today's quote was submitted by Timothy. A Chinese proverb says, "The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now." This is a great way to look at things. The best time to start a diet was last year, but the second best time is tomorrow. It's today, but I'll probably wait until at least tomorrow. I've worked with so many business owners to craft marketing plans, and you would not believe the number of times I've heard them say, "We should have started this years ago." It's okay. The second best time is today. The things you do today will affect your outcome tomorrow. We just don't know how. So if you want a better tomorrow, start on that today. We can look back at yesterday. We can look forward to tomorrow. But enjoy your day today. It's a gift. That's why we call it the present. The Motivation Minute. This has been the Motivation Minute. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
World leaders from the United States, Ukraine, and Russia are back at the same table in the United Arab Emirates.
Envoys are meeting in Abu Dhabi for a second round of three-way talks that both Moscow and Kyiv have called constructive. The sessions are expected to continue through Thursday, with US mediators describing the discussions as productive so far. Russian officials say they are keeping their military campaign going, even as they insist the door to a peaceful deal is still open. Benjamin Wright reporting.
Russian forces have resumed heavy rocket and missile strikes across Ukraine, even as negotiators sit down.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky accused Moscow of breaking a short-lived pause in attacks that he said was meant to cover the coldest stretch of winter. He argued that Russia used the lull to prepare new barrages, instead of working in good faith toward peace. Chris Anderson reporting.
Vice President J.D. Vance is set to lay out a sweeping plan to shore up America's access to the metals and minerals.
Vance is scheduled to address dozens of foreign officials as he unveils an effort to rebuild U.S. supply chains for critical minerals used in clean energy, electronics, and defense systems. The initiative is aimed at reducing reliance on China, which currently dominates production and processing of key materials. Liam White reporting.
This is the latest news headlines.
The Supreme Court is allowing California to move ahead with a new congressional map that gives Democrats a better shot at holding the House.
In a brief order, the justices declined a last-minute request from state Republicans and the Trump administration to block the voter-approved map for this year's elections. The decision means districts drawn by an independent commission will stay in place as candidates file paperwork and begin campaigns. Jessica Oakley reporting.
A Florida member of Congress accused of helping steal millions in COVID relief funds is pushing back in court while vowing to stay in office.
The lawmaker entered a not guilty plea nearly 3 months after a federal indictment alleged she took part in a scheme to siphon about $5 million from pandemic disaster programs. Prosecutors say the plot used shell companies and false applications to tap into aid meant for struggling businesses and workers. Lawrence Keller reporting.
A woman who says federal agents yanked her from her car is telling lawmakers and viewers what she remembers.
In an interview with CNN legal analyst Laura Coates, the woman described being pulled from her vehicle by federal officers and taken into custody as bystanders watched. She recounted the physical struggle and confusion, saying she did not understand why she was being detained at the time. Kyle Norris reporting.
And that's the latest news headlines with Alan Edwards.
In order to save the planet from cow farts, why doesn't someone just invent really large Gas X pills? God, what's that awful stench?
Yo, Okay, yeah, some Radio Big stuff going on there, some Safety FM stuff going on here, and we have the mixture of the simulverse. Simulverse or the multiverse? Apparently can't talk this morning. Okay, so there you go. Let me tell you about some things real quick, if you don't mind. Let me tell you about some things that happened back on this date. Back in, let's see, take a look around here. Back in 1969, Vince Lombardi becomes part owner, vice president, general manager, and head coach of the Redskins. That's in 1969. 1989, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar becomes the first NBA player to score 38,000 points. And then let's see, in 1998, Nancy Kerrigan and Tanya Harding talk on Fox, but it was taped in December of 22nd, but didn't air until this date, so there you go. If you're looking at some celebrity birthdays for today, let's talk about a few of those. Let's see, Al Cooper turns 82. Barbara Hershey, 78. Tim Meadows turned 65. Jennifer Jason Lee turned 64. Laura Linney turned 62. Chris Parnell, 59, Bobby Brown, 57, and Sarah Evans turns 55 today. So there you go, some birthdays for you if you're looking at that. Also, let's talk about some things that you ought to know. President Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, announced that 700 federal immigration enforcement officers will be immediately withdrawn from Minnesota as part of the drawdown of the massive federal presence there. The operation known as Operation Metro Surge had deployed thousands of ICE and Border Patrol agents amid protests and clashes across Minneapolis in greater Minnesota. Homan conceded to the operation has not been as perfect operation and took a thinly veiled swipe at Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, who drew the sharp criticism, including from Trump, to her handling of the situation and for echoing tough talking points during the crisis. He stressed that his approach is more targeted and focused, implying that Noem's leadership fell short while he's trying to stabilize enforcement efforts. So there you go. Also, in some other news, let's talk about this. Robert Spillane, says that he'll be ready when it matters the most. That's about the Super Bowl. I don't care. Let's continue. Okay, Lake Erie is getting dangerously close to going full popsicle, according to the NOAA Great Lakes Environmental Research Laboratory. The lake is now 95.3 ice covered, putting it in the brink of a complete freeze-over, something that almost never happens in modern records. This is also the second straight year that Erie has seen heavy ice coverage. Big ice years aren't unusual. Widespread icing like this shows up every couple of years. What is rare is 100% coverage. Since recording began back in 1970, Lake Erie has only fully frozen 3 times, 1978, 1979, and 1996. So there you go. Anyways, that's going to sum up our time together. At the top of the hour, I will be going over to radiobig.fm. If you want to come and hang out with me for the next couple hours or so, we'd love to see you over there. All you have to do is go to radiobig.fm. We'll talk about the world of music and entertainment. If you do not want to go over there, that's perfectly fine. I will not be offended. But you can hang out here on Safety FM with the likes of Sheldon Primus as he talks about the world of safety consulting. So there you go. Anyway, so that's going to be it for us today. If I can leave you today with some words of wisdom, let's do that. The thankful receiver bears a plentiful harvest. And if I can give you a tidbit of advice, Babygate, Petgate, same job, half the price. So think about it that way, in some way, shape, or form. Anyways, I know who you are. You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are solely those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Safety FM and or Radio Big. The content discussed, including examples of analysis, is provided for illustrative purposes only. It should not be applied as the sole solution in real-world scenarios, as it is based on limited and dated open source information. Any assumptions made during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are not reflective of Safety FM and or Radio Big. No portion of this broadcast, podcast, or radio show may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic, mechanical, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of Safety FM and or Radio Big. For permission requests, please contact Safety FM or Radio Big directly.